Hello YouTube, this is Steve Houck with Real Estate Partners again. This is the second video in a group of 10 videos that are designed to educate and inform you about the buying or selling process. We're going to touch on several little things today. Later on we're going to get into new construction and several other topics like that. But today, first I want to start out with a disclaimer. When I'm speaking of real estate law, I'm speaking of the Mississippi real estate law, which is where I am and where I practice. Your laws in your state may be different. So to begin the home buying process, you need to get a relationship with a realtor. The chances of you finding the home of your dreams prowling around the internet is pretty slim. And if you do, what then? Well, when you meet your realtor, there is a form that's required by the Mississippi Real Estate Commission. It's called Working with a Real Estate Broker. And it is to be signed at the first, according to the law, the first substantive meeting. Now, walking into an open house is not a substantive meeting. But when you sit down to share information and gather things together, that's when the substantive meeting takes place. Now, it says on the form that it is not a contract. You're not signing any kind of contract. The realtor is just explaining and writing the different types of representations that are available in Mississippi. There are seller's agents, buyer's agents, and disclosed dual agency, which that means that either the same agent or any agent in the office is representing both parties in a transaction. So you begin your relationship. Your realtor will ask you questions about your wants, needs, and budget. They will send you, if you have not already been to a mortgage company, they will send you to a mortgage company to see what you qualify for. Obviously, if you look at a $500,000 house and then you find that you're in the $300,000 bracket, you're not going to like anything in the $300,000 bracket because you've already seen the $500,000 house. So that's very important to do that. Then you will get the house, you'll find the house that you're looking for, and you'll write an offer. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about in these series is home buyer myths, things that people think are true and they're just not. One, and I know that this is out on the internet, different places, because I've had several people call it to my attention. Whether you've bought no houses or 15 houses, there are certain things that you need to know. Now, what's out there that is myth is someone says that you should always offer 5% under list price. Well, let me ask you a question. Suppose the house is listed 8% above market value. If you offer 5% below, then you've paid too much. On the other hand, if you're in a hot market, it's a low price, new construction neighborhood, and you offer 5% below list price, the builder's just going to throw it back at you and won't even counter. So that's what you have a realtor for. The realtor will tell you, here are the comparables. Here is what you should pay. Now, you have to compare apples to apples. You can go on the internet and you can get comparables on any subdivision or group of houses or anything. But now, if you're talking about a subdivision where all the houses are brand new and they're all pretty comparable in quality and price, then that's not too hard. But what if you're in a subdivision where you got houses which are maybe 3 years old and others are 20 years old? You can't just run an average on the subdivision. It is not going to be accurate. So what you have to do is get the subject property, select properties that are comparable, as in built in about the same time, about the same square footage, and with the same amenities. If you take a new construction house that's loaded to the gills, and in the subdivision you've got a foreclosure house that didn't even have any appliances or air-conditioned water heater in it when the investor bought it, obviously these are not comparable. So you have to throw those out. Now, once you get under contract, and we'll go into this into detail a little bit later on, then we will get into home inspections and finally to closing. Now, Mississippi, I keep referring back to Mississippi state law because once again, not all states are like this. Mississippi is a transaction attorney state. In other words, the attorney does not represent the buyer nor the seller. They represent the transaction, and that is their job, and you'll sign that over and over again. Now, a couple of years ago, the government instituted a group of rules called TRID. One of those rules is that the buyer must have the closing disclosure in hand and sign at least 3 days prior to closing. Now, that is the itemization of every dime in the transaction that shows the buyer where his money goes, and that's a good thing. However, a lot of buyers don't understand that you can't just get that and close the next day. It has to be in your hand for 3 days. Now, that is an oversimplification of the process. We're going to get into details of mortgage, home inspections. I'm going to tell you things like, Mr. Buyer, don't buy anything of any significance between the time you apply for the loan and the time you close. I can't tell you how many people have gone out and bought a $65,000 car between contract and closing, and it didn't close because it pushed them over their limit. Don't change jobs. Don't do anything between contract and closing. But we'll get into details of that a little bit later on. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you will come back to listen to future informative videos. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.